Hello and welcome back. Today I really wanted to record a message about one of the wounds that the Divine Masculine Collective carry since birth. And this is something that it's very important for both the Divine Feminine and the Divine Masculine to kind of keep in mind. If you are the Divine Feminine listening to this, welcome. I think it's very important for us, the Divine Feminines, to understand where certain things come from when it comes to the Divine Masculine Collective and our own Divine Counterparts. And if you're the Divine Masculine listening, I really hope that if anything, I am giving you a little bit more of a broader perspective of things, and I'm doing this because I want to make sure that people understand that there is no judgment and there shouldn't be any judgment, whether you are the Divine Masculine or a Divine Masculine, or so that you're going through this yourself, or you are dealing with a Divine Masculine that has been going through these things and has carried that wound within himself. So the wound of shame is what I wish to speak on, because that wound of shame is the root of a lot of the, let's say, negative patterns that a divine masculine is going to exhibit, because of where that guilt and shame really comes from. So a lot of times the Divine Masculine Collective, because they carry that wound within themselves, they are avoidance. They try to run away from emotions, their own emotions, other people's emotions. If they're involved with somebody, right? It also could be family member or a sibling. It doesn't really matter. It's just emotions, kind of equal vulnerability for them, and that is kind of negative for them because of what they have chosen as souls to go through. But this is something that we kind of should think about while taking a look at what the Divine Masculine Collective has been exhibiting or has been showing to the Divine Feminine Collective. So all the, well, I don't enjoy really using these labels, but let's say the runner, right? They run, they avoid facing situations, people, facing their own emotions. They soothe, so they will distract themselves with just pretty much anything and everything. If there are other wounds playing a role as well, then it could be addictions, right? They will kind of distract themselves with pretty much anything they can to really avoid their looking at their own emotions and kind of taking accountability for what they're feeling, and for we're all taking a look or thinking twice, I guess, about other people's feelings. So the shame, a lot of times it's also kind of bound together with the guilt and shame, right? So those two kind of go together. It stems from consistent childhood emotional neglect. So a lot of times divine masculine, right? So a boy. Well, if you are divine masculine and you have a female body, that is perhaps also what you have gone through. However, what I'm trying to get at is that a child will be neglected emotionally by their parents or caretakers. Their feelings, their emotions that the child will display or want to talk about, or will want validation for from their caretakers, will be completely rejected. It's going to be ignored, or it's going to not be validated because maybe the parent themselves or the parents will not be in a position to even be capable of actually giving that to their child, right? But it's pretty much the experiences are pretty much like, oh, we don't talk about feelings in this household, or you're a boy, your feelings don't matter, like boys are strong, you should ignore your feelings because you're meant to use your head, right? You're the logical person, and you have to choose practicality over your emotions, no matter what that means, because there are people that are dependent on you, right? It could also stem from like a single parent households where if there is a single mother raising her kids, if she has a son or sons, sometimes the mother will become dependent on the boy as her partner, as her masculine, basically kind of acting in a way where she kind of expects her own son to act as the man of the house, right? So that he will provide her the emotional safety and the physical safety. So it's really just this social pattern of brainwashing pretty much children to kind of not be so sensitive, or to not respect their own emotions, their own feelings, to self-sacrifice, right? Because growing up this way, a person ends up becoming someone that personifies that kind of neglect. So the person will not see it as, oh, my parents are incapable of providing me or holding space or teaching me about how to regulate my own emotions and to respect them, to honor them. But they kind of take it as, oh, every time I have displayed any kind of emotions about my desire or joy, or desiring something, or being not happy about something that has happened to them, the parents or a parent is going to neglect that or reject that completely, or neglect that, actually I should say, and they will think that it is not because, like, it's going to be their fault, like there's something wrong with them. So it's not, they're obviously not see it as, oh, there is, maybe my parents are under a lot of distress, or I live with a single parent and the parent is absolutely overwhelmed with life and they're just not able to provide me that safe emotional space. And in those moments, they're gonna take it as it's their own fault, as it's something wrong with them because they're feeling things, right? So basically each time they try to open up, the feedback has been, no, you forget what you're feeling, don't cry, like forget if you desire something, you want something, or something makes you happy, you are not allowed to have that. You shouldn't honor your feelings, and so on and so forth, right? So what I wanted to talk about today was just that divine masculine grows up in these conditions, and no matter how it looks like, whether a particular divine masculine had both parents at home, or it was just a single parent household, or maybe there were two caretakers. Maybe one of them is the real like blood parent, but the other is a step parent, and the step parent has been extremely neglective and or abusive. But what happens is that the divine masculine feels defective, feels unlovable, because they think that because of the feedback that they have received when they try to express their emotions has been negative, has been to kind of, no, go bury these emotions deep down, forget them. You have to think about the house, you have to think about your siblings, you have to go get a job really fast, let's say if the money is tight, right? You have to take care of us, instead of thinking about how they feel about things. And of course, there's a lot of brainwashing going on that boys shouldn't cry, boys shouldn't do this and that, that they should be really cold and ignore their emotions completely. That is bullshit, and sadly, but this is kind of what the Divine Masculine Collective is carrying around and what needs to be healed. And what ends up happening later on in life, when they kind of grow up and start having karmic relationships, is that they believe that if they ever show emotion or allow themselves to truly feel what they are actually feeling, and they will be vulnerable and they will open up about what they're feeling, that their current partner will reject them, that they will neglect their own emotions, or like the partner is going to reject the divine masculine's emotions, that it's not going to be important. They will be told off for maybe bringing emotions up. So they believe that they will be abandoned because they see themselves as faulty, because they have emotions, because maybe they're really going through a lot of emotional upheaval and there's nowhere to express it, right? So everything is sitting within them. And even if they kind of desire to open up, they believe that if they do, the person or family or friends will deem them defective in some way, or that, you know, something is wrong with them, and they will be abandoned, that they will be hurt, that they will not be honored, that maybe they will lose the respect of their friends or co-workers because they're men and they should be stoic, and they should be cold, and they should not care about their emotions. They should always choose obligations and practicality over everything else. That is sadly kind of what the Divine Masculine Collective is going through. And we have to kind of understand that they kind of develop this avoidant attachment style. They will kind of excuse me, my throat chakra is acting up. They will kind of develop like certain routines to kind of either smooth things over, kind of pretend that nothing has happened. If there has been an experience with another person that in any way has been quite emotional, whether it was something with a romantic partner, right, or family or friends, doesn't really matter. They will kind of learn to push it to the side, to kind of throw it in a box, and then throw the box at the bottom of the like a closet and never kind of look at it again. And they will kind of pretend that, oh, nothing is happening or nothing has happened. And if there are other people who display their emotions, whatever those emotions would be, these avoidance, so divine masculines would be like, oh, you're just too sensitive, you shouldn't take things to heart, or oh, it wasn't personal, you should not care about that. And that is a way for them, or that has been a way for the divine masculine to survive, to kind of try to fill in the shoes that society kind of have got ready for them, right? Because we as humans kind of have expected men to be in a certain way, to be the protectors, the providers, the strong humans, right? And yes, it's all true, but it has become toxic, it has become unbalanced, very, very much like a very toxic masculinity. And in that space, they were kind of meant to almost kill off their emotions, right? They had to kind of play the part of like how a certain or like how masculines are today, depending on where you live or which culture you come from and so on. And everything has always been just to please others. And that also stems from emotionally neglective parents, because there had been a need for the divine masculine to fill a certain role, to appease, let's say, emotionally unstable parents or a parent, right? So all of that, they carry that throughout their whole lives, up until the moment where it's time for their ascension, for them to heal all of that and to let that go, to release that. So I wanted to kind of come on here and talk about this, because the divine masculine, a lot of times we call them runners, or some people call them runners, right? In the, let's say, twin flame community. I don't adhere to labels too much, but just to kind of make it clear, that a lot of times we say the divine masculine is the runner, right? It's the avoidant. And it is because the divine masculine associate any kind of self-reflection or taking accountability for their wrongdoings, their actions, or their feelings. For them, all of these things are equivalent of them kind of acknowledging to themselves and to others that they are in fact defective or worthless or not good enough. That kind of fuels those feelings of unworthiness within them, the fears that they will be abandoned as soon as they show their real self. It kind of confirms their fears. And the actions of their caregivers that have neglected them, if they were to open up and to kind of express themselves, right? Because their experience has been in their past, whether it was childhood or even during their like grown-up years, I guess, that when they were opening up, they were met with judgment, with harsh judgment, whether that, like, however that may have looked like, right? And so the divine masculine, the runner, right, they keep emotional distance a lot of times from everybody and everything. And there's even something that has occurred to me, that I just saw recently, just right before I was to sit down and record, I saw a meme of a dad with a pet that they didn't want, and this is a very good example. There's a lot of times that we maybe all of us have seen that meme. If not, it doesn't matter. Maybe you have experienced that yourself. That, let's say, the dad in your family, right, or another father figure was absolutely adamant of not having any animals. And it's not that men don't love animals or that they do not want pets or that maybe they're not passionate about, I don't know, any kind of animals, right? It is about their fear that they're carrying of showing their emotions, because if they care so much for their pet, right, whatever kind of animal they have, they are showing their vulnerability, they're showing their emotions, and they're afraid to be judged. Because what if they show care or emotion or love or affection for their animal, and maybe their family will judge them for being too soft or being too weak, because what the hell, what kind of man you are that you are hugging your dog so much, right? Or I don't know, caring for horses, like I don't know. But that's kind of the thing, and it's so sad that this is the case, that it has come down to really kind of teaching the men in our society, or the divine masculines in our society, to really not show emotions. So, when they keep their emotional distance to you as the divine counterpart, when they run away and pretend that they don't have feelings for you as the divine feminine, when they avoid self-reflection, right, because maybe they have made decisions that really hurt you or other people in their life, or themselves even, they will do everything they can to logically pin the responsibility of their behaviors onto others, so that they can avoid that wound of shame, so that they can kind of pretend that it's the wrong is, or the like faultiness, I guess, if I could call it that, it's the wrong lies with the other people, not with them, right? Because they kind of lied to themselves that, oh no, I am cold, I have no emotions, or like my heart is ice. That's bullshit. But I think it's so important to really keep in mind, especially because there's a lot of twin couples that are coming together, that have merged, that are merging, that are coming into 3D union, right? And if you're part of the journey, if you're listening to it, then you are on that stage of merging. Maybe you have merged energetically already. But we, as the divine feminines, or if you're the divine masculine listening, so your divine feminine is kind of pretty much asked to welcome you with open eyes. Okay, that was interesting. Well, that was funny. Oh, to welcome you with open arms, right? With no judgment, and with giving you grace and kind of understanding where you came from, no matter what kind of shit you have put us through. And yes, that is what's happening. But it's so important, because it's very, I will say like this, it is very easy up to a certain point for all of us to allow our ego to kind of say that, well, let's just say that, to be that judgmental, right? Or to like maybe think that, oh, maybe I should get revenge or stuff like this. If you're listening to this, you're way above that, and that doesn't matter to you. However, it is, even if you don't necessarily feel that you would wish to put down your divine masculine, when he is returned back into your life, where obviously when it's safe, I ask you to kind of put yourself in that situation. Maybe you have, because a lot of times the pairs will go through similar experiences, because, well, that's one soul kind of experiencing certain things. But just think of how horrible it must have been being a child or a young adult and growing up and experiencing life and wanting to share certain things with your caregivers, right? So the people that you have really unconditionally believed that these people will never ever hurt you or abandon you or let you down, right? And what is happening, that those caregivers have been letting you down. Maybe they were telling you that you're feeling too much, that you shouldn't be feeling, or you're going to be a man one day and you should forget what you're desiring, or you should forget that you're sad about something. You're the man, man up, be cold. And all of that really has translated into the divine masculine really soothing themselves when life wasn't the way they desired. I have talked about this before, and I'm going to say this again. The divine masculine collective are absolutely buried underneath a lot of negative karmic patterns. It's such a it's so much of it, it's almost like it's a little unfair, almost. I'm not gonna go into that, because it seems that the divine masculine is kind of having to release more things, because they are the matrix twin. It's just kind of, let's say, designed this way, right, by God, by the divine creator. But that's why the divine masculine will soothe, right, when they're going through difficult periods, when their life is not the way they have desired, whether it is before or after they have met their divine feminine. So they will deal with addictions, right, whatever that is. Could be drugs, could be alcohol, could be sex, porn, chasing women. It could be cheating, could be I don't know, getting women pregnant, because I have seen some people do that. It could be like really self-destructive patterns. They are a lot of times pretty much, let's say, depressed. And I am not gonna talk about psychology, because it's not about that, it's just a human construct. But let's say they go through really, really heavy things and they live in that heavy energy. So for them to be able to distract themselves with absolutely anything is better than sitting in that dark energy. And as much as fucked up all of that is, because they hurt themselves, they hurt a lot of people around them, whether it's us, their divine counterpart, or not really, there's a lot of pain. They hurt, and they hurt people around them, right? And I don't want for the divine feminines, or for the divine feminine collective, or to feel or to think that, oh, the divine masculine is this and that, and there's a lot of judgment, and there's like, oh, if he did that, like, how could he do that to me, or how could he do that to these people? No, it's not about that. It is really not about that. As fucked up as all of these things are, there are people that end up in jail, there are people that end up in mental hospitals, there are people that hurt themselves, their physical body, right? They're really, really heavy things. The thing is, they have never been taught how to regulate their emotions. They have never been exposed to anybody that could show them, even if not teaching them as in, hey, let's come sit down with me, I'm gonna talk you through certain things. Even they have never had any examples of people actually regulating their emotions or sitting in certain emotions. What they have seen were either emotionally unavailable people, which displayed no emotions, or people that seemed to not display any emotions because they were self-soothing, because they were distracting themselves, because they were denying themselves and everything that they were feeling, right? And it is just absolutely horrible to be in a situation when you are pretty much suffering of something and you don't know what to do with this. And even if you, during the course of your life, right, you meet your divine feminine, or you see just other people being fully, perfectly capable of not exploding when something is happening, where other people are hurting them, they see these people being stoic, being calm, accepting whatever is happening. They don't see it as, oh, wow, there's a way to do this. There's a way for me not to rage. There's a way for me to kind of work through these emotions. What they see is like, I will never be like that person. I don't know how to do it. All I see is what I'm not. All they see is that they're a failure because they can see that other people can do certain things where they cannot. And this is something that has happened for the divine masculines that have met their divine feminines, because what the divine masculines, and I'm gonna say it collective wise, the divine masculine have experienced the peace, the calmness, the unconditional love, and the stillness of their divine feminine, because no matter how unhealed the divine feminine was, this is what has been shown to the divine masculine. What the divine masculine sees is absolute perfection in their divine feminine, but it's not reverence at that point. It becomes reverence once they have healed to a certain level. But before it's reverence, it's, I will never be like that. How could she, that is so different than me, right? Because there are always quite big differences between the twins in the 3D realm. How could she be going through all of these things? How can she be hurting because of, I don't know, let's say social position, right? Or 3D circumstances, or even despite what they themselves do to their divine feminines, however much they hurt her. And she is just a tower. She is just this stable, calm presence that never judges them, that never, ever really abandons them. And they see just how far they have to go to even remotely come close to that. Just imagine, please, if you're a divine feminine listening to this, please imagine yourself being so deep in your hurt and so alone and so utterly in despair, because you are very much aware that you don't know how to deal with emotions, that you don't know how to deal with the storm that is within you. You don't know how to deal with the desire, the love that you feel for the divine feminine, right? And later on, your ascension is the 3D circumstances collapsing all around you. You don't know how to deal with that. So the only way they do how is really just self-destruction and self-distracting. So it's soothing, it's porn, it's women, it's drugs, it's alcohol, it's work, right? A lot of men will maybe not be that destructive like with alcohol or drugs or something, But they will, instead of these things, they will kind of throw themselves to work. They will be workaholics. They will be working themselves to death to try to distract themselves from their 3D circumstances, from everything that is happening within them. You know, it's absolutely cruel to think that they have never been told that it's okay to cry, that it's okay to express their feelings, that it's okay to express their anger. How many times have we heard, when we have seen a masculine exploding, right? Somebody was angry or swearing or something, and we judge them harshly because we think like, wow, couldn't he even calm down a little? Like, he didn't have to be so mean. He didn't have to raise his voice. They don't know how to do this. They are being judged no matter what they do, and it is horrible. And I'm really happy because there's a lot of changes happening. We are living in the new earth, which means that judgment is non-existent anymore. We do not treat men this way, or the masculines anyway, anymore, which is amazing. But I wanted to speak to the divine feminines that are about to be reunited with their beloveds, with their divine masculines. Just as fucked up as all of the negativity has been, right? And it's all had to happen. We kind of all wanted that to happen. And I mean on a soul level, not on a human level, right? Because on a human level, our ego will never want anything that is remotely negative, because our ego is trying to protect us. It's a survival instinct, right? But just please try to see things from your divine masculine's perspective. There is a lot of people that are very much still unhealed, that very much still carry the wounding, and there's no judgment to them, but who spew so much hate and so much judgment to their own counterparts, or not even if they're not their counterparts, maybe to karmic masculines. They're not bad. They're just another soul that is helping them on the journey, but there can be so much hate on what the divine masculine is doing, and like what he has gotten himself into, and why isn't he doing better, why isn't he making better choices for himself. It's sad to kind of see this, because a lot of these people, those are divine couples on their journey, and yeah, obviously they have to go through this. But I know that the divine masculines who kind of were courageous to try to look for help, to try to look around for any kind of information, if they see any more of the same pattern that they have had to live through, it's just heartbreaking. So I really wanted to come on to here and tell you this, guys, to try to have compassion. And the thing is, I know that we do, because, well, I mean, we are light beings, we are made of love, but especially when there may come a moment where there will be difficult conversations happening, it's just, please try to remember that there is also the other side of the story, and it's not that your side of the story is less valid than theirs, or that their story is more valid than yours. No, but it's really important to remember at all times that you and your divine counterpart, whether you're the divine masculine or the divine feminine, you are one with that other person. You are one soul. You're one being. You're just, let's say, just to make it easy, you're split in half. So half, you are the one half, they are the other half. You're one soul. And think of it like this. Isn't it enough that the other part of your soul that other half, right? Your twin, your divine counterpart, isn't it enough what they have gone through? Because basically it's you that have gone through all of these things, all of these situations, all of that cruelty. Do you really want to judge yourself because they are you, right? Do you really want to judge them harshly? Do you really want to continue to kind of perpetuate the pain and the judgment and the, I don't know, it's, to me, it's kind of not seeing the other person. To me, it's kind of not honoring what the other person went through. It does not excuse any of their behavior, because it doesn't, because it just doesn't. It's really important to honor the 3D part too, because we are in the 3D, we are living it. So it's not less important than any other part, and it doesn't excuse their behavior. But when they are returned to you, they are mostly freed from that. You will not have to worry that any of this will repeat itself, whatever you have gone through. There is just going to be needed some healing and some teamwork for the two of you to kind of, well, heal it together as a team, to hold space for each other, to let each other cry if you need it, right? Or to scream or be angry. It's okay. Just hold space for each other, right? So I just really wanted to say this because when it was shown to me, it kind of, like, it was very straightforward, and I just felt that I want for any divine masculine, if you have found this message, to really know that we do not hold judgment. It is important, and if you're divine feminine, you're struggling with it, please try to drop into your heart space, not your ego, not your head. Your head is gonna try to fight for your survival. You're safe. You don't have to fight for your survival. But drop into your space and just kind of remember that you and your divine counterpart are one. So don't hurt yourself by hurting them. All right. Thank you so much to all of you that are listening to my messages. I really, really hope that God is going to align this message with everybody that needs to hear it. And I will talk to you next time.